Hi, I'm Alex Newman. I'm the foreign correspondent for the New American magazine, and most of the time these last, 8 years or so, I've been based over in Europe. So you probably heard the news. June 23rd, the British declared independence. They had the Brexit, right? Got out of the European Union superstate. First of all, congratulations to our British cousins. That is awesome news. A lot of people in America are celebrating and cheering for you. It's great to know that now the British have their own Independence Day, and I know it's still a sore point. You know, we declared independence from Britain, but this is really great news, not just for the British, but for Americans and for people all over the world. In essence, what the British did now is they told the European Union superstate to go pound sand. They said, we don't want to be a member of this really autocratic entity, autocratic superstate anymore. So this is huge. Basically, the British dealt a giant blow to the world order, to this effort, and top globalists have described it, where they're trying to create these regional governments all over the world, the European Union, of course, being the prime example, that basically take away the sovereignty of nation states and have them ruled by these unaccountable bureaucracies. And the European Union is really a perfect example. Yeah, they have a parliament, but it doesn't really have any power. The real power is in the European Commission, in the executive branch. They draft the laws, they make the laws, they enforce the laws, and really these are just armies of bureaucracies. So the American people, I think, should take a very important lesson from this, and actually more than one. The first one is that, first of all, the globalists can be defeated. They put everything into stopping the Brexit. They said the sky was going to fall, World War III was going to start, the economy was going to implode, British were going to lose their pensions, nobody would be able to travel to Europe anymore, and blah, 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 on and on, fear-mongering, hysteria, and lies. Now, did the sky fall? Of course not. So, the stock markets went down and the British pound went down real quick, a good buying opportunity if you're into investing, and now it seems to be back on the road to normalcy. Now, the second lesson is that independence is good, and we in America need to pursue independence as well. Increasingly, the United Nations, the UN Secretary General calls it the Parliament of Humanity, right? Increasingly, they're trying to dictate policy here in the United States. Some recent examples of the UN trying to tell us what to do include the bid to have spanking and physical discipline criminalized at the global level. They pointed to Sweden as a good example, where basically parents are jailed for disciplining their children. The head of the UN human rights bureaucracy, and that's quite a joke, right? A dictator-dominated human rights bureaucracy filled with communist dictators and Muslim dictators. They said we need robust gun control in America after the jihadist terror attack in Orlando. They also want a bigger and stronger police force. They said we need to change our constitution to satisfy the feminists. They say we need lots more abortion, and the federal government needs to perpetrate all these unconstitutional acts to comply with UN resolutions and treaties and agreements. Frankly, this is ridiculous. It's time for the Dictators Club to stop trying to boss us around. It's totally inappropriate. The American people are quite capable of governing themselves, and so we should take a lesson from the British. And actually, Sarah Palin said this recently, the former vice presidential candidate, governor of Alaska. She said, congratulations to the British. Now, we need to take a lesson, and we need to cut the shackles of the United Nations. I couldn't agree more. It's time to get the United States out of the United Nations and for us to once again declare independence. Of course, not from the British this time, rather from the United Nations. And fortunately for us, there is already legislation in the Congress to do exactly this. It's H.R. 1205, the American Sovereignty Restoration Act. It is being held up right now in the House Foreign Affairs Committee, but I encourage everybody who's watching this video who agrees and wants to get out of the UN to contact their member of Congress, get them to co-sponsor this, contact the members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, find out why this bill is not being moved. Chairman Ed Royce, if you live in his district or around his district, he needs to hear from you, and so do his constituents. It is not acceptable for this crucial legislation to be bottled up and hidden from public view. We need to have hearings, and we need to get out of the United Nations. So thank you, British, for leading the way. Americans, let's take an example from our British cousins and say enough to the United Nations.